Hello again, Tara McNamara. Great to be with you here tonight on TCM.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We just watched the delightful Trouble in Paradise, an Ernst Lubitsch pre-code movie about con artists from 1932. Now we're going to take a look at a movie also about a con artist, but after the production code was in full effect, The Lady Eve from 1941, directed by Preston Sturges and starring Barbara Stanwyck and Henry Fonda. Just a terrific film, one for the ages for sure, but different from Trouble in Paradise because of the time it was released. How would you contrast the two?
Well, I chose this film because it is really fun and it also walks right up to the code. In fact, you're thinking, I think it crossed. How did it not? And Preston Sturges was known for this, for working his way around it. So it is a really fun film. The setup is that you've got a trio of card sharps, notorious for working the cruise ship racket. And Jean Harrington, played by Barbara Stanwyck, actually snares her target with sex.
They have an affair. It's clear that there's hanky-panky going on this glamorous cruise ship.
Absolutely. And Joseph Breen, who was the administrator of the code in this era, he noticed that. When they gave him the script, he was like, it's lovely, fantastic, but there's definitely an illicit sex relationship going on between your two leads. You're going to need to cut that out, and also all the other sex stuff, which, I mean, this is a screwball sex farce. So the fact that Sturges manages to do this is phenomenal.
Now, there are little moments that you notice, though. There's like a little moment where Barbara Stanwyck does show a little bit of leg, and Henry Fonda comes over and covers it up. I mean, so things like that are more indicative of a 1941 movie than a 1932 movie like we just showed.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, there were about 90 local and regional censors that things had to get through. So the code would say, here's our determination, and then they'd send it out, and then maybe it would still get cut. So the leg scene sometimes got cut. The whole thing on the chaise lounge, oh, that one also got sliced a lot. That's the hottest. But again, if you watch it, it really doesn't violate the code. So some of the recommendations that they did make, when Jean has Charles just where she wants him, she says,
"Don't you think we ought to go to bed?"
So Breen says she can deliver that line, but it has to be without suggestiveness. And when you see Barbara Stanwyck do it, sure enough, like, she looks down and she says it straight. So if you're a kid, you think it's Betty Bye time, you know?
Isn't that wild that it came to the point where essentially line readings were given to these actors? They must not have liked that at all.
And it's amazing how well they took the direction. There's another scene that happens right after that where they're in front of Charles's cabin and he says, oh, you should come meet my pet snake. And even Jean says, like, that's a new one. But it's very euphemistic, right? But that's only if you have a dirty mind. That's on you. If you are an innocent viewer, you're like, yeah, he's going to introduce her to his pet snake.
Isn't that wild?
You know?
Well, Barbara Stanwyck is just phenomenal in this dual role. I mean, she gets to show off so many different colors. And even though they had to fudge a couple of things, she really hits a home run here.
She does. There is one thing that they did alter that I think actually yays for Hayes. I think that it was a smart choice. So originally, we see that they have this wonderful night together and Charles is, going to propose. And so the next morning, he's tipped off to her real identity. So that was originally written where they're in the middle of having this wonderful night. He's tipped off. He goes back to her and says, let's go to my cabin. So the idea is that he was going to sleep with her. I mean, he had been on the Amazon for a year. And then he was going to dump her.
Oh, you know? It's better this way.
I think so.
Well, there's so much to appreciate about this movie, so let's take a look. From 1941, directed by Preston Sturges and starring Barbara Stanwyck and Henry Fonda, here is The Lady Eve.